Hello, everyone, and welcome into this new edition of Victor Sports Talk. This is the Coaches Report, and today I'm very, very happy to introduce my old coach and somebody who I definitely thought, number one, getting into the coaching world, this is who I want to interview, and this is a man that I want to learn from eventually. And this is Coach John Cornelius of Sudan. How are you doing, Coach?
Doing good. I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
No
Means a
problem. I
lot.
like I like the helmets in the background. It kind of gets you all festive with it being first week of the season. We'll just start with that. I mean, going into the first week, just how do you feel right now?
Well, just really excited. Really excited. We're coming off a 9-3 season, and we only lost, graduated three seniors, so we got the bulk of our team back, and we're just, we're hitting it ahead of the curve, and really excited about, the kids' mentality and their effort and their attitude, and just, things have been good so far. So we'll find out on Friday, So hey, you never know to that first game, but we're ready to try it.
Yes, I was able to keep up with your team last year at 9-3. I mean, that's a successful season. I mean, I know you don't want to end before the final game. Like you want to be at that final championship game, but I wouldn't say it was anything less than a successful season for you over there in Sudan. But I'm just gonna be honest. Let's get into it. I want to know what makes John Cornelius the coach and the man and the athletic director that he is. Now I know that you are the son of a very successful coach. What was that like growing up?
Oh, I wouldn't trade it for anything. Just being raised by my dad, and having that opportunity to get that inside access throughout my life, and just to get to watch him work and impact kids' lives, and on a daily basis, and what he poured into it. It just it was like living a dream every day of my life. And I got to be around the football team and the wrestling team or whatever he was coaching at the time, and I learned a lot of lessons, just by watching and listening, and I got to see how he handled situations, and then when I got to play for him, that was even another step and very special. Always felt like he expected a lot of me, and it helped make me the man I am today, because he wasn't one of those coaches that, hey, coach's son's going to get this and that just because he's a coach's son. He made me earn everything and prove everything, and I'm very thankful for that.
I mean, obviously, he definitely had that emotional bond with you and like able to help make you the coach that you are today. When you look back, is there times where you're sitting there in practice and you just think of a moment from your childhood, a scenario that maybe you've seen, a scenario like, hey, how did my dad handle this? How would my dad handle this? Has there ever been that type of situation for you in your coaching career?
Oh, definitely. And some lessons that I learned from him, and things I watched him do, and things I saw were effective. We try to carry those over to today. Today's world's a little different, so you can't quite do some of the things that he got to do when he was younger. But and then at the same time, he's still around, and he'll come to practice, and he's a phone call away. So I still call him and ask him questions, and he's always giving me advice and things that he thinks he sees. So it's a special bond. It's one I look forward to having with my son as well. And like I said, being a coach's kids, it's a unique thing. There's lots of there's good and bad, but the good definitely outweighs the bad, and I wouldn't have traded it for anything.
I like how you said that there was a lot of good and bad. I mean, seeing both sides, was it destined that this you were meant to be the next Coach Cornelius, or was there ever a time that you considered a different route in life?
Well, that's kind of funny. I'm a big Michigan fan. Most people that know me know that. And Jim Harbaugh, they had asked him a question a while back, and he said, something about coaching, and he said from the time he could remember, all he wanted to do was play as long as he could, coach as long as he could, and then die. And I don't know if I'd have put it that way, but I can't really remember a time other than when you're real little and you think you want to be a fireman or a doctor or a lawyer or something like that. Once you get past that stage, everybody kind of goes through that. But when I really got serious about thinking about what I wanted to do, I couldn't ever think of anything else. And my parents and my dad, and they kind of tried to steer me a different route or give me some other options. And man, I just fought it, and it was what I wanted to do. I've been asked to go into administration, and I've turned those opportunities down. I just want to be a football coach. I want to be a
Mhm.
coach. I like the relationship I get with the kids. I like to be on the ground level with them, and you know, I can't think of anything else I would do other than this.
And I like how you brought up how your father and your mother try to steer you in different paths. Was there a particular reason? Was it because coaching isn't like the shiniest of jobs? If you think like when you really get into it, you're not. It's a thankless job. You're there when you're everybody's happy when you're winning, but when you're losing, everybody kind of wants to point you and kind of get you gone in some situations. What were some of them reasons that you may have they may have wanted you to kind of look at something
Yeah,
else?
and I think that probably had something to do with it, because there were some seasons and some times where as a coach you're going to go through them. There's always going to be naysayers, and you're never going to make everybody happy. If you're making everybody happy, you're probably not doing something right. So, but I think it was more, just the state of education and the way education is going. It's not the same as it used to be. It's never going to be the same as it used to be. There's a lot more, bureaucracy that you got to fight through. Just the changing of the times. And I think money was also probably a reason, that, hey, you can make a lot more money if you're not a
Mhm.
teacher. But like I said, at the end of the day, I wanted to pick a profession that I felt like I was never working a day of my life. And
Mhm.
that's how I feel about coaching. I don't ever feel like I'm going to work. And, I wake up every day excited to go to work, and it's just a lot of fun.
Now, obviously, you bucked your parents, I guess, in some sense, and got here to where you are today. Whenever you went in for your first head football coaching job, what was that experience like, and how did you prepare? I would assume that you probably kind of had a coaching hand with your father, being able to kind of guide you. But as far as you, what mindset were you in, and what plans did you put together that you were thinking that maybe the administration would ask?
hmm Well, I was kind of in a unique position because of my dad. From day one, I wanted to be an 11-man coach. I didn't want to coach 6-man football. But my dad's a Hall of Fame 6-man coach, one of the
Mhm.
all-time winningest coaches in 6-man football, and his reputation got me a phone call as soon as I graduated, and I got offered a head job right off the bat, and I wasn't ready for that head job. We had some success and we did some good things, but it was in 6-man football, and it wasn't really what I really wanted. But so that one was one instance where, hey, I went and did it for 3 years, and then I went to be an assistant coach, and I think that's really where my journey started. And where I learned the most. I got to work for a great man in Keith Mullins, and he gave me a great opportunity early. I think 2 years I was 2 years as a JV coach, and then he elected to make me his DC, and I still don't know to this day why he did, but I'm thankful. I'm thankful I got that opportunity, because some guys wait a long time for those opportunities, and I didn't have to wait very long. And you know, it, me becoming DC coincided with a lot of success in the program, and I don't take credit for that by any means, because a lot of people had hands in that, but I was fortunate enough to, when I got to be the DC, we started having a lot of success, and that kind of gave me a opportunity to learn and to grow, and watching him and asking him questions, and I honestly, for those 4 years I was his shadow. I mean, if he went to a 7-on-7 game, I was there with him. If he went to wherever he went, I was there, and I learned a lot from him. I made a lot of connections through him with other people, and he taught me a lot, and he kind of gave me that opportunity. Some of those opportunities started opening up. So I worked 2 years as a DC for him, and I told him, I said, hey, I think I want to be a head coach, and so he helped me out. He gave me a portfolio that he had, and he talked to me about his experiences. And my cousin was a head football coach too, and he coached at Denver City and Canyon Randall, and he was a big influence on me as well. John Cornelius won a lot of football games. Uh, he told me, he said, when you take your first job or one of your early jobs, don't look for money. He said, don't look for, what position you're going to be. He said, find you a great staff to work for and a great man to work for. And he said, if you find that opportunity, with those type of people, they'll open doors for you. And I hit it big with Keith Mullins, and got some opportunities, and he helped me with the interview process, and got me a portfolio set up, and I started applying for jobs. Uh, I had a couple of interviews where I didn't get the job, and then the Tahoka job opened up where you were, Dom and or Victor, and we had it just worked out for me. One of my good friends was actually offered the job, and he called me and said, "Hey, I'm gonna turn down this job. Uh, you need to apply. I'm gonna put your name in for the running." And so, that gave me a foot in the door. And so when I got in the door, just went through there and talked to Coach Hines and the superintendent, and went through the interview process, and they offered me the job. But if it wasn't for Coach Mullins getting me lined out and pointing in the right direction, if it wasn't for Brandon Rogers, who they offered the job to and he turned it down, and he put in a word for me, probably wouldn't have had the job then either. And those connections and those relationships that you make along the way, they're just so important. And I think that helped as much as anything else.
Yeah, and I think it's very interesting that you said like you were offered a head coaching job right out. And in today's world where people don't necessarily want to wait for opportunities and put in the time, that kind of sounds like the dream scenario for the younger guys, I guess, like my age type of people. But whenever you went and back down to an assistant and then became a defensive coordinator, I wouldn't assume, but at that point, did it feel like a little bit of a demotion, or were you ready to actually start learning from others and be able to take a back seat?
We all got egos, and we all want to be the guy in charge. Most of us do, and usually most of your coaches are real competitive anyway. And I was competitive, and I wanted to move up in the profession just like anybody else. But I think the move from 6 man to 11 man, and the fact that I hadn't played 11 man and I hadn't coached 11 man, kind of gave me a little different perspective. Hey, I need to learn some things. I need to watch some things. I got some things I need to clean up before I'm ready for that opportunity. I think that was. I think my mindset might have been a little different. And again, Coach Mullins was great to me from day one. As much as I wanted to take on, he let me start taking on things. Like he started with the strength and conditioning. I started with the strength, with that part, and I started, and then I asked him. I said, "Hey, I want to be in the middle school," and so he put me in the middle school, and I helped start, kind of getting the strength stuff going there too. And then just got this defense coordinator job. So I never really felt like I was stuck in a rut. So I always felt like I was moving up, climbing the ladder, so to speak. So I think some coaches get frustrated and they get impatient and they want it too soon. But I'm gonna tell you right now, the best advice I can give anybody is bloom where you planted. If you do a really good job where you're at, people are going to notice. And I'm especially after being in this seat, I know that now. I see that in coaches. It don't take me very long to find out the ones that I think could be a head coach and the ones that don't. The ones that can generally are doing everything they can, interviewing every day with their work resume, not necessarily their paper resume. And you can see it shines through pretty fast.
For a young coach, possibly going into their very first ever head coaching interview process, what's the one piece of advice with the experience that you've had, the mentorship that you had, that you would tell them while they're going through this process for the very first time?
I think a mistake a lot of us make when we're young is we want that job so bad. We'll tell them what they want to hear, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a big mistake. Because if you're telling them stuff that you don't really believe in or you're not really about, you're going to get there and you're not going to be happy anyway. So I just think you got to be confident in what you believe in and what you want, and you go in there and you sell your plan or your vision, and you know don't try to convert to what you think they want. You sell what you got, and if you're confident and you sell what you really believe. Even me as an interviewer, when I interview guys for head baseball jobs or head basketball jobs, I want somebody to, hey, tell me what your vision is, and sell me on it. And I want to know you're passionate about it and that you believe in it. I want to know what you're going to do to make it happen. And I don't want to have to tell you what to do every day. I don't want to be in control of the basketball program. I want to be in charge of it and make sure it's going right. But I want that guy to be able to coach and run his program like he wants to run it. And I want somebody that's passionate and confident, and somebody that's going to be assertive.
I find that very interesting because I think in just even a regular job interview, not pertaining to coaching, I think that's what a lot of people fall down to. We're going to tell you what you want to hear so I can get this job, but ultimately you kind of end up finding that it's not the best fit for either one of you, and then it
Yeah.
can lead to some turmoil and not so good standings later on in life. So I like that you pointed that out because that's a very very interesting topic, as you got to be true to yourself, and not just as a coach but as a person, because ultimately that's who's going to be working you, not this
Mhm.
vision of you that you're trying to sell.
Yeah.
um I would I'm very curious. I've talked about it with a lot of my family, with me wanting to get into coaching and the people that I see are in the business and how successful you are. I'll just be honest with you, Coach Corn. You are one of the most successful people that I know personally, because not only have you built winning football programs where you've gone, but the whole athletic department has gone up whenever you show up. And much so this past year with Sudan's first year of baseball. Y'all were very competitive. That was your first year having baseball. What is it that you have, or what's the niche that you look for? What's the experience that you pull from to be able to build programs, and not just, oh, I'm a head football coach, I'm focusing on my football, but like, if we're going to win, everybody in the organization is going to win.
Yeah, I think that's a mindset. Uh, I think winning breeds winning. And the number one thing you got to get when you go to a place, usually if it's a place that's struggled, and I've been to, that's what I've taken over. Sudan was the first place football wise that I've ever taken over that wasn't coming off a losing season, and mostly the last Tahoka and Merkel were both coming off 1-9 seasons. When I took
Mm,
over,
yeah.
so we were at the bottom. I took over programs that were struggling, and I think, and all the programs are down, probably in both situations. Every program was in not the best standing. Now Merkel had recent success. They had just had one bad year, so they
Mhm,
had some recent success. Tahoka, not a whole lot of success. Right before I came
mhm,
necessarily. I think the key is relationships. It's always relationships, and I take you're a great example. Because I knew the first time I met you, I knew, hey, this kid loves baseball. Baseball is this kid's passion, and I never wanted to make you love football more than baseball. I just I wanted you to play football.
mhm,
Play football and give it your all. But with every kid, different kids like different things, and who am I to tell them football's got to be the most important thing for you?
mhm,
And I've never tried to do that with any kid. I want my program to be important, but I feel like if I support them and I care about what they care about, then they're going to care about what I care about. And I've always had good buy in with the kids. And I don't know what it is. I try to love on them, and I'm gonna expect. I feel like I'm a demanding coach. I'm not an easy coach necessarily to play for, but I'm gonna
mhm.
love you. And I'm gonna have you back. And and to me, at the end of the day, that's what it's about. Developing relationships, developing trust. And I think that's the hardest thing to get is to get that trust to where, hey, this coach cares more about me than just as a football player, whether it's
Mhm.
as a baseball player or whether it's as a student or had a kid that loved the rodeo, and I went to a few rodeos, watch him ride Broncos, and so whatever it is, that kid's got to understand that this guy cares about me, and not just for what I could do for him on the football field, but he cares about me. And I've always tried to do that. I don't know if I've been successful always, but that's always been important to me.
I like how your answer was geared towards the students, because that right there, I mean, ultimately, part of why you get into coaching is because you want to help create great young men and women to go on into the world and be successful. Whenever you get the students to buy in, there's still that extra part that kind of got to click, and that's the staff. You don't hire the right staff, it's probably not likely to be so nice in the office and eventually work out. So, what is your philosophy when hiring people? Like, are there keys that you pick up on? Is it energy? Is it the actual plan that they present? Well, when you're hiring somebody for a spot that is going to play a vital role, they all play vital roles. Well, what's that thing that got to get Coach's core and attention if they want that spot?
Yeah, I want, kind of my checklist is, they got to be passionate. I want guys that are passionate about, whatever they're coaching. I want guys that, Coach Hines, he kind of mentored me a little bit, and Coach Hines always said he didn't want guys that were worried about the record. Now that can sound wrong because we all want to win. I mean,
Hmm.
you're not going to last anywhere if you don't win very long. But I think that has to come last. I think you got to care about the kids. You got to be passionate about what you do. You got to be willing to work and commit your time and energy to it. The word I like to use is invested. I want people that are invested in our kids, in our program, in our school, in our community. And if you find those type of people, X's and O's can be learned, especially nowadays. I mean, it's so different now. You can turn on the internet and you can find anything you want to find about
Hmm.
anything, and most of the time don't have to pay anything for it. So uh, you can learn scheme, or you can learn. I coach baseball, and I don't know anything about baseball this last year, but I could find whatever I needed on the internet, and we got through it. uh, but that relationship with the kids is number one, and they got to trust you, and you got to trust them. You got to build trust with them, and I think that's key. And I want people that are going to be invested like that.
What I've noticed that you've had some previous players as coaches on your staff. Is that something that you take with pride because it's kind of your way of giving back and kind of being able to be the mentor and not the mentee?
Oh yeah, I love it when those guys get when they work for me, or when they get jobs elsewhere, or when they become, even when coaches on my staff become head coaches. Man, that's just that's the ultimate. It's kind of like watching your kid be successful. You just like to see those guys grow and do special things. And I've had the privilege to work with some former players, several of them, and you got to change relationships with them. You get to kind of they get to see a different side of you, and you get to see a different side of them. But it makes for some special relationships and some long standing, long lasting relationships. And not even the ones that just don't come coach for me, that just seeing you do stuff like this and hearing from you, or other players that call me and ask me something, or check in, or send me a text, say thank you for doing this. Those are the reasons why we coach and why we keep coming back, because the relationships at the end of the day, those are the things that are the most special, and at the end of the day, priceless. You can't put a price tag on them. And when they get to come work for you, it shows you they believed in you, and they thought something of you. And then also, like I said, you get to watch them kind of grow and develop, and do something that they love.
And I know you touched on earlier about how you always wanted to be a coach. That was like that was going to be, and you mentioned the Harbaugh quote. But was there ever a moment in your career where you sat there at a practice, a game, in the stands, and you're like, "There's no doubt in my mind, I made the right decision. This is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing in life."
Oh yeah, man, those moments have probably, like I said, come from, when a player calls me or texts me, or something. Probably the most recent one, I had a player go play at Baylor, and that was a special deal too. I got to be a part of that process, that recruiting process, and he got medically retired, so he didn't get to finish playing. But he sent me a picture of his diploma the other day, and that was awesome.
Mhm.
Uh, I think those moments, that's when you're reaffirmed that, hey, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is what God called me to do. Had players call me before and say, hey, coach, every time I go through a rough patch in my life, I think about this, is what you said to me. And those are rewarding. Those keep you going. They make you feel like you're doing something that has a big impact on more than just the game, just more than just football. You're impacting lives and livelihoods. And but also there's times on the field where you look at the scoreboard at the end of the game, and you're like, man, this is awesome.
Mhm.
This is nowhere else I'd want to be. And I don't think I've ever had a doubt that I wanted to keep coaching. there's after some games, I kind of had that feeling like, oh man, I hope I get to coach again. I hope they still want me to
Yeah.
coach here. But I in my mind, hey, somebody hire me wherever they'll take me. That's what I want to do.
And I'm very curious as to coaches, their mentality and kind of every coach. I mean, even whenever you're coaching a little league team or a middle school team, you want, like, this is our motto, this is our mantra. Over the years, what's one mantra motto that you've had that's like, this was my absolute favorite, this is where I saw the most buy-in, this was the one that really just resonates with me completely?
We kind of have and I like to call them themes every year. We've had different themes, what we'll have the team kind of focus on for that year. But year in, year out, to me, we call them our non-negotiables here, or wherever I've been, we call them non-negotiables. You got to have these two things or you can't survive in our program. And that's attitude and effort, and I tell the kids all the time that it takes zero talent, to have a good attitude and to give your best effort.
Mhm.
And, that's probably one that really resonates with me. I think the kids understand that one, and they that's not always what's most important to them at the time, but I think if you can get them to focus on those things, that they're usually generally more successful. And then we say be your best now, and we get to, I think a lot of these kids nowadays, their biggest fear is failure, and that might have been all the time. I don't know, that might not just be nowadays. But I think they're scared to fail. And I tell them, the only way you can fail is by not doing your best and being your best. If you're doing that, you're not failing. We might not win every game, but you're being successful if you're being your best every time you step on the field or the court. And we kind of preach those things. And what I like about those things is they take zero talent. Anybody can choose to do that.
And one thing I am very curious about, I will touch on that topic though real quick. It must still be ingrained in my head because my daughter's starting softball, and I'm just like, look, it's your first year, effort. That's all I want to see.
Yeah.
I don't expect you to be the superstar. Just whatever you do, you run, you hustle 110% all the way through. So I appreciate those non-negotiables because I've seen the impact in my kids, and it's one thing that is simple but yet hard to do for most.
Mhm.
I am curious, with you having the experience, the mentorships, the relationships, the success on the field, the trophies, the programs. Is there something, and it doesn't have to be even a football game or a trophy, but is there something that in your career just sticks out above everything else? Is there like one achievement that you've had that is just at the top of the line?
I think I really feel like I'm still chasing that thing. you know, uh, I have a hard time. I think that there's going to be a time to look back and reflect and
Mhm.
and be proud of what we've accomplished or the things we've done over the years. Sometimes I my record's not the prettiest record because we rebuilt two programs and it takes a little time and effort to do that. And we've won some big games over the course at every school I've been at. Uh, but I think there's going to be a time at the end to to reflect and enjoy those things. But my focus right now, I feel like if 100% of my focus isn't on this year's team and tomorrow's practice, then I'm doing those guys a disservice.
Mhm.
So I don't know if I've hit that point yet, or if
Mhm.
there's lots of successes I could name, but you know I think there's a reason why we say there's a reason why the windshield's bigger than the rearview mirror. You got to keep your focus on what's ahead, and maybe at the when I hang it up the whistle for the last time, maybe that's a better time to answer that question.
No, that's fair. I mean, you don't get into it unless you want that last game, you want that championship ring. Well, before we wrap things up, Coach, gratitude is something that I've became and made a part of my life recently, a bigger part of my life. What three things in your life are you grateful for right now?
Well, first and foremost, I've been very, very blessed, and I give all the praise and glory to the good Lord. He's put me in, He put me in Tahoka. I feel like He put me Merkel twice, and brought me here to Sudan, and I'm very thankful for those opportunities to to be an instrument or a tool of his to to guide young men and to hopefully be a good example most of the time, and try to help get the most out of those young men. And then I've been blessed with the absolute best coach's wife and there is, and she's followed me all over the state, and she's always been there for me and by my side, and my kids have moved when I needed to move, and and never complained about it, and adapted and adjusted. And my family's just been super supportive and loving, and I couldn't ever ask for anything better from any of those. I'm very thankful for them. And I'm just I'm also thankful for again, the good Lord gave me the opportunity too. I really believe he's called me to everywhere I've been, but all those people that have helped me along the way, Coach Mullins and my dad and my cousin, Coach, those guys that inspired me and helped me out. I'm thankful for them, and that they showed me the right way to do things. Coach Hines was a good mentor for me. I'm thankful for those people that were in my life at the right time to help me learn and grow. And I couldn't have got where I am today without them. And then at the end of the day, we wouldn't have won any of those football games, or our basketball team wouldn't have done so well, and our baseball teams wouldn't have done so well. If it wasn't for the young men that have played for us and been a part of those programs, and just thankful for them and their willingness to give me a chance. I've always thanked them. At the end of the year, thank you for letting me coach you, because that's a choice. You get to choose. If you want to play or if you want to commit to this guy's vision or program, and I'm thankful for all those things.
Well, I mean, you can't get any better than that, Coach. The last thing I want to ask you, Sudan Hornets this season, the team you have, the team you're excited about, if you could describe them in one word, what would it be?
One word. uh, I would say resilient. I think they're resilient. I think them guys are going to be, no matter what, they're going to persevere. And I'm excited about this year. I think we got an opportunity to do some special things, and these young men are juiced about it. And we're believing, and you just need to get on the field and get to go to work.
Well, we will be keeping up on this show because whoever is on this show will be put on a graphic, and week by week will be updated. So we'll be keeping right up with you, Coach. And is there anything last thing that you want to say? Anything that we didn't touch on? This is kind of me giving the mic to you. Anything that you want to share out there?
No, just hey, I'm just thankful for the opportunity, man. Again, just these type of things. When you texted me and asked me to do this, uh, it's a special thing for a coach. You feel like that's the reason we're in this, and I'm very appreciative of you and thinking of me and giving me the opportunity to talk. I don't know who I am. I just try to lace up my shoes every day and go to work, and I'm not anything special, but I've always felt like I love the kids I coached, and I love you and proud of you, what you've done, and anything I could ever do for you, I'd be happy to do.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Coach, for coming on. And for those watching, be sure to check out next week's episode of